Now, the mass testing of students for COVID so they can go home safely for their Christmas break is starting at many universities across the UK today.
Yeah, if you're wondering, if they test negative, then many students will leave university in the travel window, which starts on Thursday.
Our education correspondent Dan Johnson is at the University of Bristol this morning. Dan, are universities ready for the challenge of mass testing?
They say so, yes, and this is Bristol University's biggest testing centre. This is a concert venue which has been transformed, and if you recognise the booths that will be used for students to take these tests, that's because they are actually the council's polling booths, normally used for elections, but they'll be used for students today, testing themselves. 2 tests taken 3 days apart, and then there's 24 hours if they get the double negative for students to head home. Well, let's talk to some of those students, to Robin, to Georgiana and to Teddy, who are here this morning. Robin, how are you feeling about this double testing and then going home? Do you think that'll give you the confidence to do that safely?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's really good to have some level of reassurance because, I am going home this Christmas to family, and I think we're really lucky to be one of the universities that's been selected for this because it does provide you with some sense of reassurance and some knowledge that you can go home safely and celebrate Christmas with family members.
Georgiana, you were saying you've got a grandparent who's 85.
Yeah, my grandma's 85, so I do feel really lucky that we're one of the universities able to get this quick turnaround test. So I know that when I'm going home, I'm not putting her life at risk. And obviously I can spend time around the dinner table with her with full assurance it's safe.
Do you know how confident you can be? Would you be able to go home and hug her?
I don't think I'd ever be able to be that confident. I don't think you can be because I could get it in the transit home somehow. But I do feel lucky that I'm able to have some level of assurance, and the fact that I can just be in the same house with her over Christmas, I'm really fortunate to use that.
Thank you. Cheers. How are you feeling, Teddy, at the end of this tough term? It's been a difficult one, hasn't it?
It has. It's been weird, a bit surreal. It's a bit dystopian to see these booths up like this as well, but as I was saying, I suppose it provides that level of assurance. It's just been a bit of an odd time because we've been in a pandemic and there's no getting around that. Hopefully, with the vaccine going on, next term might be a little bit more normal, but we're yet to see, I suppose.
And you've had to isolate yourself this term?
I've had to isolate for 2 weeks.
That?
It was tough. It was just a bit odd. I mean, everything was online. You just had to make that transition. It's just a little bit odd, and then you feel like you've been out of university for 2 weeks, and then you come back, and the classrooms are smaller and things like that. As I said, I think this whole term's just been a little bit surreal and a little bit odd, and hopefully we'll get some normality later.
How are you feeling, Georgiana, about the learning you've been able to do this year?
Yeah, like Teddy said, it's been really tough. Most of my learning has been all online, and it's just meant that a lot of the time I'm in my room rather than getting the university experience that I've been used to for the last 2 years. I've been sat behind a laptop screen with very, very little face-to-face interaction, and it's such a shame that that's not a part of my very limited time here.
Okay, and if you get home for Christmas, Robin, what do you think about the new year and coming back in January?
I think it's nerve-wracking because I think there's a lot of, you don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what situation we're going to be in January. There have been discussions about a third lockdown, and there's going to be tougher restrictions. We're going to be in Tier 3 in Bristol. So I just feel I don't have complete confidence in anything at the moment, but I'm hoping that, we'll have a good Christmas, we'll have a good New Year, and we'll be able to return and still do uni.
I hope so. Thank you, guys. We appreciate your time this morning. If we take you outside, we can talk to Sarah Purdy from the university, because it has been such a tough term for so many students. Those guys are all third years. They've got some perspective on it, but think about the first years who've lost out on so much so far this year. Sarah, this testing, is this going to give students the confidence they need to go home safely?
We think it will give students and their families the confidence for students to go home safely. If they have the 2 negative tests, there's a very low risk then that they have coronavirus. Of course, being sensible when you go home is still really important. So remember the hand washing and social distancing. But yeah, it's a good thing.
And what would you say to students about the way this term has played out? It has been tough, hasn't it?
It has been tough. It's been tough for students all across the country, and particularly I think you were saying about first years as you came out here. Yeah, what a way to start your university experience. But we've done all we can to deliver teaching face-to-face safely and online, to support students who've had to self-isolate, and to try and encourage them to be able to do as many things as they can. We've been working with our SU to deliver things in a safe way for students.
Okay, thank you very much. We appreciate you having us here this morning. Testing starts at 10 a.m. Important to say, in Scotland, some students are already being tested and are getting their results, and the travel window for students across England will open on Thursday. So some students who've had the 2 tests by then can start travelling home, but there's a week in which to stagger those journeys to make sure that as many students as possible can get home as safely as they can to be with family this Christmas.
Dan, thanks very much.
Been some amazing pictures in the papers today.